This is the Los Angeles Times Grand Prix.
A star-studded field and an array of legal horsepower rarely seen in American road racing. If you thought last year's Times Grand Prix was a barn burner, brother, hold your...
The entry list included Jimmy Clark, world champion and Indy 500 winner in a Lotus 40. Former world champion Graham Hill of England in a McLaren Oldsmobile. Indianapolis winner and defending champion in this race, Parnelli Jones in a Lola Chevrolet. Bruce McLaren of New Zealand, whose name graces one of the world's great race car lines. Jim Hall of Texas in the radical Chevrolet-powered Chaparral. Mario Andretti, champion of the U.S. Ovals, destined for greatness in road racing. Up-and-coming star Jackie Stewart, his Lola, powered by Chevrolet. Versatile Dan Gurney of California in a McLaren Ford. Walt Hanskin of New Jersey in a Lola Ford. And Mexican Grand Prix winner Richie Ginther in a Lotus 40. Now let's take a 1965 style onboard camera lap of Riverside with Skip Scott.
All right, now we're coming onto the start-finish line into a very fast left uphill turn. Brake slightly, back on the power, and ease her on around over. A few little bumps in there make it a little tricky. Down a short straight into a fast right. And now down approaching into the S's. All fourth gear. Brake, left, short straight, brake and up into six. This is a sweeping right-hander, decreasing radius. Out of this one, swing out and down a short straight into seven. Up a little hill, brake, get the 3 marker. Down a gear. A decreasing left-hander, tuck it in, and down onto the long main straightaway. 4th gear under the champion bridge, and into 5th, and stand on the gas. Come to the 5 marker, 4, brake hard, come down 4th, 3rd, and into another decreasing radius. Roll it out and stand on the gas.
That's a good look at the racetrack. Let's see who is getting around it fastest. The man who called the action back in 1965 was Les Kiter. Here's Les to tell us how they qualified.
The fastest is Bruce McLaren of New Zealand in a prototype McLaren Elva powered by an Oldsmobile engine. McLaren established a record lap of 1 minute, 26 6/10 seconds. A real battle is expected between McLaren and Jim Hall, who sits second on the grid. Third is Jerry Grant from Kent, Washington in a Lotus Chevy, followed by Parnelli Jones, Walt Hanskin, and a surprisingly fast John Cannon in a GD. Practice and qualification sessions have already taken the toll of many of the top drivers. Grand Prix sensation Jackie Stewart blew 2 engines and will not start. Scratch 1 Lola T70. USAC champ Mario Andretti was pushed off the track in the 20-lap consolation race. Scratch another Lola T70. Just announced is the surprise withdrawal of Jim Hall and the Chaparral 2C. The trouble, rear-end suspension. The Chaparral team will go with only 1 car. Hap Sharp will be at the wheel, starting 8th on the grid.
Jim Hall is withdrawn with rear suspension problems, Bruce, and will this make your driving strategy any different?
Well, yes, because I would have had to go just as hard as I possibly could to have stayed in front of Jim, and this has really surprised me, and it's certainly going to change the picture. I can't believe that we're going to be this lucky.
A sun-baked crowd, upwards of 85,000, await the start of the Times Grand Prix. 77 laps and 200 miles through the twisting, tortuous Riverside track. The total purse is just under $50,000, one of the richest in road racing in the world. The cars are approaching from the false grid, a field of 40, the most impressive array of cars and drivers seen anywhere in road racing. The field of 40 is assembled, engines running, awaiting the green flag. Most of the top drivers from the world over: Bruce McLaren, Parnelli Jones, Hap Sharp, Graham Hill, Jimmy Clark, Jerry Grant, Richie Ginther, Dan Gurney, Walt Hanskin, Chris Amon, Hugh P.K. Dibley, and more. The cars are set to go. Some delay, Apparently trouble with one of the cars further back. Bruce McLaren very anxious to get going. That's Jerry Grant next to McLaren, also upset about this long delay. The flag is ready. They're moving the problem car off, and there's the start. Walt Hanskin jumps out in front very quickly from the second row. McLaren, who was first on the grid, had a slow start and is lost in the shuffle about 8 places back. Trouble in turn 2. An accident involving 2 cars. Don Wester and a Genie, car number 60, seemed to slow to almost a stop and was hit in the rear by Charlie Cox in a Cooper, car number 39. Also involved is number 29, Rick Muther. The rest of the field is picking their way through the melee. There's no fire, but the ever-alert emergency crew is spreading foam on the cars just to be sure. We'll try to get a report on the drivers.
The year is 1965. The first lap collision at Riverside between Don Wester and Charlie Cox looked worse than it was. The drivers were okay. And out front, Walt Hanskin and Jerry Hansen wage a spirited battle for the lead, at least for a little while. Play-by-play man Les Kiter will soon be joined by pit reporter Chris Economaki.
Through the S's, Hanskin leads Grant. Into turn 6, that fast sweeping turn. Grant just seconds behind Hanskin. 20 seconds back is the third-place car. Bob Bondurant's pace setter Lola T70. Fourth is the Chaparral of Hap Sharp, followed by Parnelli Jones, Graham Hill, and Bruce McLaren. Hanskin leads into 7. Grant not giving up an inch. Quite a battle here. Bondurant still third, but Jones is edged by Sharp into 4th. McLaren has also taken Sharp and tries the inside to get by John Cannon in car 22, but doesn't make it. Hanskin and Grant still at it. Number 77 is Dan Gurney's McLaren Ford. Gurney was 15th on the grid and still well down in the pack. Jimmy Clark, Grand Prix champion this year, is behind Gurney in his Lotus 40, but running smoothly. Back to the pit straight, it's Jerry Grant, but where's Hanskin? Walt is nowhere in sight. There's Hanskin moving into the pits. The Bedminster, New Jersey veteran led for 9 laps, but is into the pits. He's getting out of the Mecum Lola. Not a good sign. Grant inherits the lead on lap 10. Chris Economaki is in the pits to get the story from Hanskin.
Walt, it was great while it lasted. What knocked you out?
Well, I think we had a blown head gasket.
And that did what?
Well, it blew the water out, and of course we overheated. And I just tried to keep it going as long as I could.
Did waiting at the start have contributed to that condition,
Yes,
you think?
I think so.
There's been a lot of criticisms of the start.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It looks like Hanskin has company. McLaren is in too. He's still in the car, however. McLaren was as high as 3rd before making this visit. It looks as though yes, the mechanics are bringing a tire out. McLaren apparently picked up some debris from that first lap accident and will lose valuable time with this tire change. Jerry Grant is smoking. He's slowing down on the inside of turn 9. This pace must be extremely hard on the cars. McLaren is retired. His wheels are fastened by stud bolts, and the tire change took considerably more time than it might had he had knockoff hubs. McLaren is set. A little trouble getting into gear. At pit stop, 1 minute 25 seconds. He's lost a lap. Jerry Grant is out of the car. He led for just 2 laps after taking over from Hanskin. Grant is apparently out of the race. Our reports indicate heating trouble. Again, the lead changes. After 12 laps, Bob Bondurant inherits first place. Hap Sharp in the Chaparral moves into 2nd as a result of McLaren's pit stay. In 3rd, Graham Hill of England.
Riverside International Raceway is a 33-foot ribbon of asphalt winding over mountain and desert through 9 difficult corners, including a flat-out mile, where cars approach 200 miles an hour. a fantastic speed for any automobile. At these speeds, the problem is not one of engines, transmissions, or tires, but one of aerodynamics, a new aspect in racing design. For most, a kindergarten of trial and error. Not so for chaparral builder Jim Hall. Jim, how important is aerodynamics in racing today?
Well, Chris, it's getting more important all the time. The cars are much lighter than they used to be, and they're going much faster all the time. And I think the air forces on them play a big part in the performance of the car nowadays. As you've seen, almost all the cars have some aerodynamic features. They've got spoilers that kill off airflow in one place, or a fin that'll react with the air somewhere else. So I think within the last couple of years, I know on our cars, we've done a lot of work on it, and out here today, you see almost every car with some type of an airfoil or spoiler on it.
Hall's latest innovation is a movable spoiler. In the two cars at Riverside, the Chaparral 2 and 2C, the spoiler is hydraulically controlled and operated by the driver by means of a foot pedal. On the straightaways, the spoiler is flattened to a horizontal position, reducing drag. Through turns, the driver flips it upright, assisting in braking. But more important, reducing tail end slippage, providing greater control and handling. Hap Sharp discusses some of the developmental problems with reporter Economaki.
What about the new spoiler? Does it take a lot of your time on the circuit to operate?
Well, it takes a little practice learning how to operate it, yes.
How many times a lap do you operate it?
2 to 4 times, depending on the position of other cars and the traffic situation and so forth.
Do you find it quite helpful?
Well, it's just something we're experimenting with right now, Chris. We're not sure just how helpful it is yet.
The Chaparral experiments seem to start a trend. This has been the case in many aspects of the Chaparral's development, and spoilers are no exception. Some modifications appear grotesque, abusing the symmetry and beauty of the basic design. Others seem almost comical, and the work never stops. Right up to race time, mechanics are fitting and cutting, trying to find the right formula. This is part of the game of racing, one of the many steps towards building a successful racing machine.
Bruce, in your own car, is there any car on the ground that you'd rather be driving?
I'd like to try the Chaparral sometime.
Along back straight, Dan Gurney outdrags Graham Hill, but Hill goes in deeper. Outbreaks Gurney and keeps third. Record-breaking speeds here at the Riverside International Raceway. The race average well over 100 miles per hour. Mclaren sneaks up on Hill, trying to get by on the outside and make up that minute 25 pit stop. He must pass the lead cars and unlap himself to remain in contention. At this pace, that's quite a task. Bondurant continues to set the pace. Speed traps on the back straightaway have clocked him at 163.6 miles per hour. The fastest thus far in the race. Sharp continues to apply the pressure, closing the gap to 3 seconds. Gurney is in the pits. It appears brake trouble will sideline the native Californian. Gurney was as high as 4th before quitting. He's had trouble with this race before. Versatile Bob Bondurant glides smoothly through turn 9. Second is still the Chaparral of Hap Sharp, losing a second here, picking up a few there, but always pressing. Graham Hill, third, and a few car lengths back, is losing it. Spins and hits the wall. The impact breaks loose a tire. McLaren's number 4 barely missed hitting that tire, which is safely in the infield. No other cars involved, and Graham is out of the car and apparently all right. We might add, unruffled. At the far end of the pits, Richie Ginther pulls his Lotus 40 to a stop. Ginther was running 5th. Mechanics examining the rear of the car, rolling it slightly. They seem to be listening for something. Ginther is signaling with his hands. Gearbox trouble. There's the order: Bondurant, Hap Sharp, and Clark. With less than half of the 77 laps completed, 5 of the top drivers have experienced a varied assortment of mechanical problems. The Riverside track has always been a taxing course. And with the fine racing machines and competitive driving skills we're seeing here today, a car's limit of performance is quickly reached. Charlie Hayes, number 97, is edged in front of Parnelli Jones and now stands fourth. Chris Amon in sixth in the Ford GTX, an experimental vehicle built by Amon's countryman Bruce Mclaren. Mclaren, meantime, has unlapped himself and moved into seventh. In his effort to regain position, Mclaren has turned in a fantastic time for one lap at 1:26.8, a shade over his qualifying time. Team manager Teddy Mayer keeps the clock on Bruce. Add Parnelli Jones to the list of retirements. His Lola is behind the wall with a blown engine. Reporter Economaki is in the pits.
Parnelli, I noticed that a lot of the drivers seem to be very concerned just before the start. What was the problem there?
Well, we sat out there for so long that the cars were beginning to heat up. My car was about 220, 230 degrees when I started the race, and I didn't want to rev the engine too high to keep it cleaned out because I was making it hotter, and that's one reason that I got off to a bad start.
You think that contributed to the engine going apart?
Possibly, yes.
Well, Parnelli Jones out of the race.
Thank you, Chris. Back to racing with Richie Ginther now an interested bystander. Bruce Mclaren still making up time through turn 7. Someone's lost it, spinning onto the infield just in front of Mclaren. Mclaren is through on the outside. It's car number 55, the Cheetah of Jerry Eaton. He's right side up and appears to be okay. Close call for Mclaren. Bondurant continues to set a blistering pace. The race average thus far, 102.9 miles per hour. Well over Parnelli Jones' record performance of last year. Bondurant is onto the wall. Going into turn 6, Bondurant skids off the line and hits very hard. Sharp will move in front now, but Bondurant is gamely off again. He must have suffered severe damage the way he collided with the cement. Here's Bondurant limping into the pits. From here, it looks like his front wheel is broken and locked at almost a 45-degree angle. His pit crew is out with a new tire, but the wheel is all but off. Bondurant is out of the car, talking now with his crew. Reporter Economaki is making his way to the pit area. Let's see if we can, yes, come in, Chris.
Bob, it looks like you're out of it, huh?
I think so.
What happened out there?
The left front brake locked up going into 6. I'd had trouble for the past 10, 15 laps with the brakes locking up.
Where on the circuit did you hit?
Up in turn 6 in the middle of the wall.
You okay?
Yeah, fine.
Fine. Bob Bondurant, the leader, out of the race.
So again, through the process of elimination, the lead changes. Sharp in the Chaparral, now 7 seconds up on Clark and 47 seconds ahead of third place Mclaren. Mclaren has been picking up sometimes 3, sometimes 2 seconds a lap on the leaders. And of course, with the cars dropping out at such a prodigious rate, his chances of capturing the lead are improving. The race average now, 103.2 miles per hour. He's making good use of that movable spoiler. Sharp's fastest lap is 1:27.3. McLaren is in the faster car, but 47 seconds is a lot of time to overcome. Another spin, up the embankment and turning. Let's see if we can spot the car. It's Jerry Eaton again. No other cars involved as Eaton spun well off the track. He's out of the car, walking away under his own steam. Jimmy Clark closes the distance between his Lotus 40 and the Chaparral. 3 seconds now, but there aren't enough laps remaining. McLaren has also turned it on. It's a race against the clock now. Sharp rounds turn 9 on the last lap. He'll never be caught now. The jubilant Chaparral team with leader Jim Hall is rushing to the rail to wave Sharp in. Sharp takes the checker in record time. 1 hour, 56 minutes and 28 seconds. Average speed, 102.989 miles per hour. Second and just 11 seconds back is Jimmy Clark. McLaren crosses the line 22 seconds too late. A familiar scene in Victory Lane, Jim Hall, Hap Sharp. A barn burner it was. A record crowd, a record purse, and a record race. Chalk up another one for the Chaparral, the Los Angeles Times Grand Prix.